States, Europe, United Kingdom, South America, Japan, the Middle East. Now, let's go to the Showboat Hotel and Casino.
Ladies and gentlemen, this match is one fall. There's a 10-minute time limit. From Dallas, Texas, standing 6'3", weighing in at 260 pounds, Kevin Collins. His opponent is from Denver, Colorado, at 6'7", 337 pounds. He is Rocky Mountain Thunder. Marty Miller is your referee. At ringside, Rod Trongard and Lee Marshall.
From Las Vegas to Vienna, from Miami to Maui, you're looking at Rocky Mountain Thunder. Hello again, everyone. Rod Trongard along with Lee Marshall here at ringside to call the action for you here from the Showboat Sports Pavilion in Las Vegas, Nevada. What do you think is in that sack?
I was just going to ask you. Did you ever find out? I don't know.
No. I talked to him before the match, and he isn't saying.
He said it was a surprise.
Yeah.
I wonder when he's going to spring the surprise on the AWA.
We were guessing from live animals to you name it.
Yeah.
But I've never seen anything moving in that sack, so I guess we're just going to have to wait until that time and place comes about where we do have an opportunity to find out. One thing Kevin Collins is finding out that Rocky Mountain Thunder has a lot of thunder in that right forearm.
He sure does. As we've said before, Rod, even Rocky Mountain Thunder admits that he's not a scientific wrestler. He's just a roughhouser, just a scuffler, as he calls himself.
Yeah, right.
He used to go around to lumber camps and just knock head with the good old boys.
Yeah.
Well, he just knocked Kevin Collins, man, I'll tell you that. Whoa.
I don't think Kevin Collins would really buy that scuffling bit.
Yeah. You know, it's a guy like Rocky Mountain Thunder. You wonder if a guy that big actually knows his own strength. He's a monster. He's just massive.
He hasn't been challenged, really.
No, not yet.
In the times that you and I have seen him.
And you're talking about a guy, Kevin Collins. Oh, my! Woo-hoo! Kevin Collins is no lightweight. This is a man that's 6'3", 260 pounds.
You got that? Wow, I thought he was going to first throw him through the ropes, and of course the ropes are very, very sturdy, and Collins comes ricocheting off into that clothesline. Oh my! As you look there at Kevin Collins.
Rocky just in the middle of the ring. Call him out. Come on. I got more for you. I got more. Oh.
And now Collins trying to mount an offensive, but hey, he's got some power in his punches as well.
Oh, yeah.
And indeed, Rocky Mountain Thunder is feeling the effects of it, but he digs back, reaches back and digs to the body again, a whip.
Oh, we're going to have a backbreaker. Oh, it's into a body vice now. Into a vice. That's a submission. Yeah, that's it. Good night. Woo!
And he bows and says, I thank you. Thank you.
What a devastating finishing hold from a backbreaker into a body vice. Yikes.
And there he takes that sack. And also something else that he has on
a double-handled axe.
Let's take another look here. Here's the whip. And now he'll take him into a backbreaker. And as Lee described for you, he'll then turn that into a inverted type body vice, which is just too much. Too much for Kevin Collins. We'll be right back.
You American thing, you are looking at two of the greatest athletes to ever come to this country. Some of you stood up to teach your card. Now you Americans are as big enough as Rocky Mountain Thunder, the big American athlete who carries bag of rocks into ring. I cannot believe this. And Jerry Lauder, you call yourself the king of wrestling. You are nothing. You are nothing but another American thing. You will be destroyed by Soldat Yustinov. I teach your kind.
Now, June 24th, all the superstars of the AWA will be in your great city, New Haven, Connecticut. The AWA also touring Ohio, Indiana, and Pennsylvania. You know, it wasn't too long ago when the manager of Bad Company, none other than Diamond Dallas Page, literally came to my hometown in Los Angeles, tracked me down just to tell me that he doesn't like me. I don't think Diamond Dallas Page likes a lot of people. Let's find out. Here he is.
Listen up, eggheads. Diamond Dallas Page here at AWA's Diamond Exchange with Bad Company, the tag team champs of the world. And we're heading on a world tour. We're heading to Phoenix, Anaheim, Las Vegas. Oh, baby! Along with the Diamond Dial, late but worth the wait. And I tell you, I'm sick and tired of this rock and roll express. Who the heck do these guys think they are? Good God, tell them what's happening with these guys.
Absolutely right, man. They're ranting and raving. They're four-time world champions. We're not the world champions right now.
These are the world champions.
Time for us to prove who the real world champions are and why we are Bad Company.
We're going to beat these boys like red-headed stepchildren. Heck, we already ran out the Midnight Rockers right out of the AWA. See you later, boys. That's right. These are the kings. This is Bad Company, Rock and Roll Express. Eat your heart out, dude. That's right, because we've had it with you, and we're going to take you to the bank. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this match is one fall. There is a 10-minute time limit from Fresno, California. At 6 feet, 270 pounds, he is Daryl Nichols. His opponent is the heavyweight champion of the world. Weighing in at 238 pounds, from Memphis, Tennessee, Jerry the King Lawler. Jerry LaRusha is your referee. At ringside, Rod Trongard and Lee Marshall.
And we take a look one more time at the new heavyweight champion of the world, who still is wearing a patch over one of the scars of battle. Scars of honor, I don't know exactly how you want to put it, but anyway, it happened in his match in Memphis, Tennessee, against the now former heavyweight champion, that being Curt Hennig. And Daryl Nichols of Fresno, California, a very compact and muscular young man,
Very muscular.
would like nothing better than to be wearing that championship belt around his own waist after this one is over.
We've seen Daryl Nichols before, and I've even commented before that posing's okay, but do it in a physique show. Because I don't think Jerry the King Lawler, the heavyweight champion of the world, is going to be psyched by somebody throwing a couple of most muscular shots at him. Now that, on the other hand, is going to impress him.
And once again, the former champion, as he did a week ago, Curt Hennig, is at ringside watching each and every move that Jerry the King Lawler makes. I don't know if Lawler has seen him as of yet.
See, each and every match that Lawler's in, he does something illegal. This is what I want to point out to the people. Like when he supposedly won the heavyweight championship of the world from me, my head was running to the steel post. I'm out here to watch the man to make sure nothing else illegal happens.
Well,
We heard that before, didn't we?
yeah, I think we're going to be hearing it for a long time to come.
The one thing that Curt Hennig forgets is that it happened at the Cow Palace in San Francisco, California, when he won the championship from Nick Bockwinkel. And he did it in total controversy. A roll of dimes allegedly handed to him from ringside, which he had in his hand and just completely KO'd.
This is the poorest excuse for a heavyweight champion I've ever seen.
Oh, wow. Completely KO'd Nick Bockwinkel with that. And it was a week or so before they could completely review the tapes, and the word inconclusive. Proof was inconclusive. And that's a word that you hear a lot in the National Football League regarding
That's
instant
right.
replay.
Hennig now commenting that Lawler's in the face was illegal as well. I'm
As if he is lily white and pure.
I'm a little torn because I truly do like Curt Hennig. I think he's a superior athlete, and I thought he defended his title very well. You can't win them all. You know, you want another chance at Jerry Lawler, maybe you'll get it. You'll likely get it. I guarantee that he'll get it. But to sit here and pout and to carry on like this is just not championship stuff.
Here he comes
On
again.
the throat right now. I don't know. You need 2 referees with this guy out here.
What Jerry Lawler had was a reverse chin lock.
Now Hennig saying that Lawler's using a chin. You know, I should just let Hennig. No, I wouldn't do that to you. I was going to say I'll let Hennig come in and and do this match with you,
Well,
Rod.
then I could just as well leave, too.
I would think so. We could just both pack it in and go out and see one of the shows.
Have a cup of coffee or what have you until it's all over, because no one else would get a word in edgewise, that's
Yeah.
for sure. Darryl Nichols. Okay, let's focus on what's going on in the ring right now. And Darryl Nichols is putting that power and muscle to work on Jerry the King Lawler, the heavyweight champion of the world. Stand referee Gary DeRusha looks on. He's got his hands full. He also is very, very much aware that Curt Hennig is outside of the ring. And now Nichols is fighting. Apparently, Curt feels this is all right, this tactic and or maneuver.
Yeah, you notice he didn't come over to comment on that.
Using the fist. Look at him.
Forearm smash, fist is closed. Forearm smash is what put Nichols on the deck that time.
Yeah.
Oh, it's hard to concentrate inside the ring when you got Curt Hennig screaming at you outside of the ring. But
You know, now,
that's-
Hennig's doing his job. He's got Lawler frazzled. He has him distracted. I thought Nickel might take the opportunity to gain the other hand, but Jerry put a little too much punishment on him, I guess. We'll find out in a minute. Ooh, what a right hand by Norman, and a boot to the midsection. Another one. Another one. And back to biting. And look at Hennig. He's not saying a word.
absolutely
I think he conveniently loses the rule book every time Darryl Nickel takes the aggression out on Jerry the King Lawler. Oh, what a right hand.
The crowd for the slingshot here. Up and over he goes.
That's the same move that he beat Curt Hennig with for the heavyweight championship. Look out. There's Hennig.
He ran his head.
Hennig, you play with the bull, you're going to get the horn. That's exactly what's happened. Lawler firing away, bombs away on Curt Hennig. Oh, look at that.
This match is apparently still going on.
Oh, yeah, very much so. Very much so.
Look at Gary DeRusha. He's just trying to get Darryl Nickel back in.
Now Lawler
takes it upon himself to get Nickel back in.
He turns his opponent as he has disposed of Curt Hennig again, and here they come.
There's Darryl Lawler.
Oh, yeah.
Yikes.
You saw the chair.
Yep.
Now you see the former champion. Lawler is just waiting on Curt Hennig. I'm sure he's saying, hey, come on. Come on, big fella. I gave you a taste of your own medicine a little bit ago, and if you want a little more, I've got a little more. More than just a little more. Look at it.
Well, I don't know. Wherever these two men meet again, it is going to be an absolute war, whether it be here in Las Vegas, Nevada, if it's going to be in London, England, Manchester, if it's going to be back in Memphis, Tennessee, whether it be in Milan, Italy. Wow. I just hope that you and I are there, Rod, to see when Jerry the King Lawler and Curt Hennig go toe-to-toe again. Woo!
Indeed. And that sign pretty much says it all. As you see the crowd here, and there you see what happened to Curt Hennig as he stuck his nose in where it shouldn't have been. And Jerry the King Lawler immediately went to work and pounded away. And you'll see an uppercut here pretty quick that's going to send Hennig completely out of the ring. There it is. Woo. We'll be right back.
I'm here with Brandy May. Brandy May, welcome to the AWA.
Thank you, Lee.
I know that you were here to challenge Medusa Michelli. Now, I don't know if you heard, she says you've got to go through Debbie Combs before you get a shot at her world championship.
Well, Lee, let me say this to you and to everyone who's watching. I'm not really concerned about Debbie Combs or whoever I have to go through. I'm concerned about Medusa because she is the champ and I go for the best. And I want to get my hands on her, baby.
Well, I know you've been wrestling all over the world and now looking to become champion of that world.
That's right. I've wrestled a lot of ladies, and Medusa seems like top dog right now, and I'm out to get you. Hope you're listening, babes.
Big K here to tell you about the new guiding force in tag team wrestling. Sold at Ustinov and T. Joe Khan.
Cannes, France was the site for the annual International Film Festival, where worldwide television buyers were on hand, excited with the opportunity of becoming part of the AWA television network. A former champ, Vern Gagne, was on hand, signing interested parties from all over the world. And a real treat came to the champ when he met up with this week's winner, a Navy lieutenant of the world's largest aircraft carrier, the USS Eisenhower, who turned out to be such a big fan of Vern Gagne and AWA wrestling. He pleasantly surprised his hero with a tour of this floating city. And I'll be right back after this word with the winning Lieutenant Singh and a surprise for him. This week's winner, Lieutenant Drew Mayamani of the USS Eisenhower. Now, Lieutenant, you impressed Vern Gagne so much with your enthusiasm for the AWA and your tour of this world's largest aircraft carrier while anchored in the port of Cannes, France. Here's the chance to thank you personally.
Thank you, Donna, and thank you, Lieutenant Mamoni, for that wonderful tour of the great USS Eisenhower. And believe me, when you're in a foreign country and out of the U.S., and you go into a country like France and you see that great big aircraft carrier sitting out there in the harbor in Cannes, France, it's a very, very comforting feeling, especially when you got 6,000 Americans sitting on that ship. And each and every one of them were out there cheering us to be aboard of that ship, and thank you for the great reception for the AWA. And by the way, AWA made a great coup in France. We are on the #1 television station in that country, and we're happy to be and proud to be a part of it.
Well, thank you, Vern, and thank you, Lieutenant. Now, we'd like to hear from you for Fan of the Week, and please write us here at AWA Wrestling, 10,001 Wayzata Boulevard, Minneapolis, Minnesota, 55343.
The tag team match, one fall, 10-minute time limit. First of all, to my right, from San Paulo, California, at 240 pounds, Louis Spicolli. His tag team partner at 215 pounds, Houdini. Their opponents are from the nation of Japan. Weighing in at 245 pounds, Riki Choshu. His tag team partner at 270 pounds, Mr. Saito. Marty Miller is your referee. At ringside, Rod Strongard and Lee Marshall.
And hello again, everyone. And we take a look at the combination, the tag team combination of Choshu and Saito. We have seen Mr. Saito on many occasions before, but never Choshu.
You're going to see some serious business right here, Rod. Saito and Riki Choshu. Call them the Oriental Assassins. Call them what you will. These are two of the roughest, most devastating men in all of professional wrestling. And as we've noted before, wow, what he's done to Houdini. The AWA has garnered the greatest tag teams of all time. And now with Choshu and Saito, it just keeps getting tougher.
Absolutely. And in case you have not heard, and we have the continent of Japan here represented, the AWA, soon to be, very soon to be in England, and also on network television in France. Yes, network television in France, TF1, now carrying the AWA, the Major League of Professional Wrestling.
Wow.
And a tour of France very, very soon. Bonjour, comment ça va?
Comment ça va bien?
Ah, yes, indeed.
Yeah.
And so this is Riki Choshu.
Yes, sir.
Houdini, needing all his cunning and guile, has not tagged in his tag team partner. Taking it all so far. And he's in a side headlock here. Mr. Saito, the master of the scorpion leg lock, sends it between the second and third ropes and onto the concrete floor below.
You've made a point repeatedly, Rod, that I hope the fans understand. They might say, well, why isn't Houdini tagging out to Spicolli? And there's a lot of pride that these athletes have. They're professionals. They are all rough and tough. They'd like to think, all right, you got the best of me, but I think I can do it. I think I can come back. I think I can take care of this guy. And sometimes You let your ego get carried away with you.
Indeed. Pride stands in the way. Well,
okay.
Here we have attacking. And in is Picola. Yes, from Louisville to London, and we'll soon be in London, England. This is the AWA, the Major League of Professional Wrestling, here from the Showboat Sports Pavilion in Las Vegas, Nevada. And we do want to make mention that all of this is being put together by Mike Shields, and we call him Polish Giuseppe.
That's it.
Oh, wow.
Saito put him to sleep.
We'll talk more about Mike Shields and Polish Giuseppe in just a minute, but holy cow, what a finish to this one. The crowd is applauding, or at least some of them, the efforts of Mr. Saito, and here you take a look. Saito with the body-to-body suplex, crunches and crashes Spicoli to the canvas, and this one is history. We'll be right back.
I'm here with Medusa Michelli, the champion of the world, also Debbie Combs, but already tonight you've received one challenge, that from Brandy May, who says she's ready to challenge for your championship.
Challenge me, Brandy May?
Yes.
You know where she comes from? No.
No.
I haven't heard of either. No one has heard of that. First of all, who has she beaten? She has not ever, as far as I'm concerned, ever wrestled a professional.
Well, now,
as
wait a minute.
myself.
She has wrestled throughout the world. I do know that.
So say. But she has not wrestled the number one AWA Women's World Champion. And today, here with me, Miss Debbie Combs is the number one contender. And if she wants a shot at that title, she's going to have to go through Debbie Combs.
Well, is that all right with you, Debbie?
Let me tell you one thing. When she sets her foot in that ring with me, she's setting the foot in there with a professional. And when I go in there with you, you better plan on staying a while, and you better bring your lunch and your supper, darling, because you're going to be staying a long time, because I'm not going to be that easy.
Debbie Combs and Medusa Michelli.
Afterburner gives you the real dogfight excitement of the arcade version.
Yeah.
Like barrel rolls, nosedives, supersonic speed, and radar lock-ons.
Your turn to burn. Let's take it home.
Afterburner, only on the Sega system. Sega, the challenge will always be there.
Mad Dog Vachon was known as a dedicated, hard trainer, and every morning at dawn woke up and went out for his 5-mile jog. Well, this past year, Mad Dog Vachon was struck by a car, and as a result, lost a leg. But on this particular evening, back in 1983, Christmas week, Mad Dog Vachon had his opportunity at Nick Bockwinkel, the world's heavyweight champion. And it was going to warm up things at the Winnipeg Arena. Outside, it was 32 below zero. A huge crowd on hand for this matchup, Nick Bockwinkel and Mad Dog Vachon. Here we go. Hold on to your hats.
They find something extra. And Nick Bockwinkel did it there. You saw Vern Gagne do it for year after year after year in tough situations. Bockwinkel is doing the same thing, despite the fact he is in deep, deep, deep trouble. Aside from the opening minute and a half to 2 minutes of this match, when it was all Bockwinkel, it has since been all Mad Dog Vachon. Vachon again to the biting technique. Bockwinkel gets out of the way, and Vachon may be hurt, as Vachon came charging from across the ring to put a shoulder block into Bockwinkel. Nick saw it coming, got out of the way, and Vachon went just about, I believe, all the way to the ring post. Bockwinkel trying to call upon more of the reserve, which he has. Now knowing he has the dog in trouble, trying to set up the pile driver. Mad Dog Vachon trying to fight his way clear. Bockwinkel can't get it on him yet, and now it's reversed, and over goes the champion. The dog comes back. And again, he drapes Bockwinkel's neck over that second rope. Here comes Vachon from across the ring. Oh, that's gotta hurt. We may see a new champion here tonight. A cover here by the dog and a count of 2. Did Mad Dog lift Bockwinkel's head up and shoulder up when it looked like he had him beaten? I think he did. And now, oh, the pile driver for Mad Dog Vachon, a count of 2. Wait a minute, let's see. Was it 3? Was it 3? Did Mad Dog Vachon get the pinfall here? Jim Mitchell is raising his hand and says yes.
Yes, he did. Mad Dog Vachon has pinned Nick Bockwinkel and has taken the heavyweight championship of the world away from him. But Bobby Heenan and Nick Bockwinkel are not taking this line down. They're both going to work now on the Crusher and on Mad Dog Vachon. The Crusher is all alone against Bobby Heenan and Nick Bockwinkel. A chair has been thrown in. Bockwinkel goes after the Crusher with the chair. The Crusher gets out of the way, and now he has the chair. He is in control, and Heenan are there alone, and Heenan takes it. Bockwinkel takes it. Again, Heenan gets the chair from the Crusher. The Crusher again winding up with that chair, aiming it for Nick Bockwinkel. He gets him. The dog has come to, and he throws Bobby Heenan over the top rope and out of the ring, and the battle royal goes on. But Mad Dog Vachon has taken the heavyweight championship from Nick Bockwinkel, despite the fact what you see going on here and now. Wait a minute. Now they're saying that Bockwinkel has been disqualified. And if indeed that is the case, then the championship remains with Nick Bockwinkel. They are announcing that Bockwinkel has been disqualified, and indeed Mad Dog Vachon has won the match, but Bockwinkel remains the heavyweight champion. Both Mad Dog Vachon and the Crusher working on Bockwinkel. Where is Bobby Heenan in all of this? He is nowhere in sight. He is not to be found to help his champion.
Once again, Nick Bockwinkel's manager, Bobby Heenan, interfering in the match. But this time it all backfired on him when the legendary Crusher crawled in the ring. Well, next week we've got another great Matt classic for you. Sergeant Jacques Goulet and the original rock and roller himself, Buck Zumhofe. We'll see you then.
Matt Classic, featuring Greg Gagne, has been brought to you this week by the fine folks at Sega Toys.
Wrestling fans, exciting news as the AWA is going on tour to Ohio, Indiana, Pennsylvania, June 24th in the great city of New Haven, Connecticut. And a man that is going to be making the tour is a man who is obsessed. I'm talking about none other than Cool Curt Hennig. He lost the title to Jerry the King Lawler in Memphis, Tennessee. Hennig maintains he was jobbed in Lawler's hometown with an official elected literally by the fans. This man is upset. This man wants the title back.
All the bids came in from all over the United States for the Hennig-Gagne title match. Well, things have changed, Mr. Gagne, and now I understand that in England and in Germany and in France, they're bidding for a title match, and the title match is between Hennig and Lawler now. Well, let me tell you something, Jerry Lawler. I don't care where I have to travel to wrestle you to get that belt back. But I will guarantee you one thing. If I have to travel to England and if I have to be in Italy, these are going to be under my stipulations and my rules. See, I am the new boss of professional wrestling, and I think that I'm going to remain that way for a long, long time, see? Because whenever I said I'm going to do something, I've went out and I've done it. And then you sneak right in underneath everybody, and you stole the title from me. Well, Jerry Lawler, I don't care who's in the way, Wahoo McDaniel, Baron Von Raschke, T.J. Khan, Soldat Ustinov, you name them all. I'm the man that belongs on top, and I'm the man that will remain on top.
Big K here to tell you like it is. Let's talk about Soldat Ustinov, the greatest Russian athlete I've ever seen, and I've seen them all and wrestled with all of them as partners and against them. Ustinov is the Russian wrestler in the world. And who's he teamed up with? T. Joe Khan, the man that I put into that family, the man that also listens to what the Big K says. These two men are the ones that will be the guiding force in tag team wrestling. And Baron Von Raschling, what is it with you with that baseball bat down there at ringside? You're breaking up the concentration of a great wrestling team. You're running around there with a baseball bat with the American flag on it. Let me tell you something. Be careful about that bat, Rasky, or you might have to use it as a toothpick, because that's what'll happen to you if Ustinov and T. Joe get their hands on it. You'll be eating it. Now let's talk about something else, the thing that I told you about. The man of destruction, the Raging Bull, Manny Fernandez, 6'2", 265 pounds of nothing but bent for destruction. And he has some unfinished business with Wahoo McDaniels. And believe me, when he gets to Wahoo McDaniels, he will be finished. Listen to what the Big K says. I tell it like it is.
It's June 9th in the Valley of the Sun. Write it down, Phoenix. That's when the AWA comes to Phoenix, Arizona with stars like the Rock and Roll Express, Medusa Michelli, Cool Kurt Hennig. Then the superstars of the AWA will be seen June 10th in Anaheim, California with Mondo Guerrero in his hometown, along with Bad Company and Rocky Mountain Thunder. Then the 11th at the Sports Pavilion in Las Vegas, Nevada, a night of champions. 4 championship belts on the line in Vegas. Maybe the man carrying one of those belts is the man who has the world title now, none other than Jerry the King Lawler.
Jerry the King Lawler, the AWA World Heavyweight Champion. Well, Curt Hennig is really screaming for a rematch, Jerry.
Well, you got that right, Lance. Curt Hennig is screaming, and you know he can scream all day and all night as far as I'm concerned, because there are a lot of people who are screaming just for a match. Now, sure, Curt Hennig wants a rematch. He's going around claiming, you know what he's trying to do, Lance? He's trying to taint the fact that I am the new AWA World Heavyweight Champion. He has even got, the AWA announcer, Larry Nelson, I heard right on one of these broadcasts, say that I won this by questionable means. And you know where he got that fact from? He got that from Curt Hennig. He is going all over the country telling everybody that he was cheated out of this title. Well, Hennig, the only cheating that has ever been done as far as this title is concerned is the time that you won it. You know that to be a fact. I know it to be a fact, and all of the AWA fans know it to be a fact. So, brother, you can scream, like I said, all day and all night. It's going to be a long time before you get a title shot.
Ladies and gentlemen, this match is one fall with a 10-minute time limit. Already in the ring from Boston, Massachusetts. He weighed in at 234 pounds. He is Derek Dukes. His opponent at 6'1", weighing in at 240 pounds, one half of the tag team champions of the world. He is Paul Diamond. Marty Miller is your referee. At ringside, Rod Trongard and Lee Marshall.
And hello again, everyone. Oh, look at this.
Yep.
Managed by Diamond Dallas Page and his companion, L.A., the Diamond Doll. Oh, my. Ooh. Paul Diamond, also a very lovely lady at ringside. As you take a look there at L.A., Judy Moore, the manager of the Showboat Sports Pavilion here in Las Vegas, and we would like to have you take a look at Judy, possibly during this match or sometime as soon as we can arrange it. There's a good-looking physical specimen also in Derek Duke.
Yeah, you're looking at two very well put-together athletes in Derek Dukes and Paul Diamond. As they say in the bodybuilding community, these guys are ripped to shreds. They're cut.
Oh, yeah.
speaking of cut, look at Diamond Dallas Page. He looks like he got his outfit out of a garage sale. Did notice the jeans are all cut up? I guess that's the fad, though, around.
Yeah, right. While he was talking about looking at Diamond Dallas, the world was taking a look at L.A. And lovely, whether L.A., what it stands for, I don't believe it's Los Angeles, but she's got some diamonds around her neck, too, as we look there at Diamond Dallas Page.
Yep.
Inside the squared ring, of course, Paul Diamond and Derek Duke and referee Marty Miller. Diamond, of course, along with Pat Tanaka. They're known as Bad Company, the tag team champions of the world.
What are you doing? 3 times.
And Diamond is complaining a little bit to the referee that Duke grabbed his hair.
Well, Derek Duke has served notice he's not going to take any nonsense from Paul Diamond, and probably not from Diamond Dallas Page either.
Hey, I like what I see of this Derek Duke so far.
You know, I thought that I wasn't going to tell this, but I'm going to. After we left the Showboat last time, you know Diamond Dallas Page came all the way to Los Angeles, found me, just to tell me that he didn't like me. True. He did.
Why weren't you going to tell them?
I don't know. But I mean, the man actually went on a mission.
Wow.
Just to tell me that he doesn't like me. Thinks I'm biased. All I said was I know what I like.
And there they are. Diamond Dallas and L.A. is Diamond Doll. Inside the ring, Derek Duke with a side headlock. Paul Diamond, and he isn't about to let go. Hey, this is the earmarks of an outstanding match.
I think you're right. This young Derek Duke is pretty tough.
I think Paul Diamond is getting more than he really thought he was going to when he signed for this one. Oh, my. The Diamond Doll, L.A., and...
Pull of the hair by Diamond.
Yep. Shoulder blow. Hey, this Derek Duke looks like he played football somewhere along the line.
Doesn't he?
That was a good shoulder block right there, and he's right back to that side headlock and a hip toss, and on his back is Paul Diamond. Yep, Diamond may indeed have bitten off more than he can chew here, because so far in this one it's all Derek Duke. But lest we forget, outside of that ring, hovering are Diamond Dallas Page and L.A. And for some reason or another, I've got a feeling that they're going to be involved in this thing somehow, some way.
Well, they're sure making their way all the way around the ring.
Yeah, indeed. Rock Trump got along with Lee Marshall here at ringside at the Showboat Sports Pavilion in Las Vegas, and there she is. With those lovely diamonds. Back and forth they go.
Look at this. Diamond doesn't know where he is. There's Duke. Boom! Hip toss, and down he goes. Oh. Almost a major upset into a scissors.
You can tell that Derek Duke likes his work.
I'd like to see this kid find a partner, Rod.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is the first offensive, really, that Paul Diamond has put on in this match.
Yep.
This head scissors.
And it was strictly out of desperation.
Well, he had to do something to turn the tide in his favor because he was taking a pretty good pounding.
This is a real wear-down move. Make him carry the weight of those big legs, cut off the breathing, make you breathe hard. It's like Duke.
Derek Duke is doing what he has to do to get out of it, however.
Yeah, he's trying.
He's got it. Uh-oh, pull of the hair. Come on, ref. Hey, Marty. He grabbed a hold of the hair. Oh, come on. Great camera work here, as always.
No, I didn't do it.
Indeed. Dan Ormsby and his camera crew as we look there at L.A. And, of course, as we said before, all of this is being put together in the truck by Mike Shields and Polish Giuseppe. Or Giuseppe. Now, there's a contrast for you. Polish Giuseppe, he says he can handle it.
They're going to love you in Milan, Giuseppe, as the AWA prepares to go to Great Britain, France, Italy. Yep, we're on our way.
Indeed. Paul Diamond looked like he was on his way out, and now he's gone to choke maneuvers on Derek Duke.
Come on, Marty, get in there, break it up.
This Derek Duke has done a dandy job here against Paul Diamond.
Oh, right over the top rope, Rod.
Throat into that top rope and cuts off the windpipe. Just about breaks your neck in the process. And now Diamond may have things going his own way. Here's a whip. And that didn't do the head, neck, and shoulders any good at all of one Derek Duke. Here's the cover. Here's the count. No.
Derek Duke.
Close, but no cigar for Paul Diamond.
That might well be the most devastating clothesline in all of professional wrestling.
Wow, it was a heavy one. Whoa! My! From a clothesline to a drop kick. Wow! No, it's not over. What a resilient guy this Derek Duke is. He has to be in fabulous condition to take punishment like he has in that clothesline. And then that drop kick, which was major league all the way. Diamond really caught him, but couldn't put him away.
Ron, I want to reflect on something you've mentioned time and time again, and I hope the fans understand this about professional wrestlers. You not only have to be able to dish it out, but you got to be able to take it. If you can't take it, you got no business in the squared circle. And Derek Dukes, he's putting up one heck of a fight against half of the World Tag Team Champions in Paul Diamond.
The arm went up 3 times. It came down twice. If it had come down a third time,
look at this young man fight back. Oh, an elbow to the midsection. Another elbow to the midsection. And a rake of the eyes by Paul Diamond as Duke's reeling now.
Diamond, of course, will go to just about any tactic to win. That's part of the reason why they call he and Pat Tanaka bad company. There's Derek
You
Duke.
had that one called, Ron. You said Diamond Dallas Page would get involved, and sure enough, he laid one right into the face of Derek Duke. A block. Into the turnbuckle. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Paul Diamond is on Green Street.
Derek Duke to the top rope. Duke on his way.
Flying shoulder tackle.
Oh, yes. Diamond looks like he's out of it. And here is Duke hammering Diamond Dallas. But here is Diamond. A rollover, a cover, the count. It's all over.
He got it. He got it.
Oh, yeah. But I tell you, Derek Duke, well, Diamond Dallas Page got it as well.
Yep, he sure did. Diamond Dallas Page is a big guy, but he got his comeuppance. I think this might teach him a lesson about messing around where he shouldn't be messing.
Particularly with a young man, as you see there, by the name of Derek Duke. Let's take a look here.
Whoa.
All right, there's the flying block or tackle, as you will. And here comes Diamond Dallas, and here is Derek Duke. Bingo! And here, of course, Paul Diamond following up. The crunch on the ropes, the rollover, and then he grabs a hold of the trunks. And it was all over. We'll be right back.
Our Fan of the Week winner is a student from the University of Las Vegas, Nevada, who requested a feature on one of our new and exciting personalities in the AWA.
We're traveling to Omaha, Nebraska, city of controversy, for the matchup between Sergeant Jacques Goulet and the original rock and roller Buck Zumhofe.
Next week, it's Ricky Rice, Derek Dukes, the World Tag Team Champions, Bad Company, plus Debbie Combs against Brandy May and more on All-Star Wrestling.
From of Las Vegas, Nevada. This has been Vern Gagne's All-Star Wrestling, sanctioned by the American Wrestling Association. Join Larry Nelson, Donna, Greg Gagne, the Big K, and the top professional wrestlers from around the world next week, right here on All-Star Wrestling. For Vern Gagne and the American Wrestling Association, I'm Lee Marshall. See you next week.